lives and breathes the Minnesota Vikings.
I don't even know what to say. We're still having fun. He caught it, and he paid for it.
Houston, we have a problem.
Playoffs?
Playoffs?
I mean, whatever you want to say.
You lucky suckers.
Luck has nothing to do with it.
The Vikings are going to win. Touchdown!
Well, those words we did not hear yesterday.
No, we didn't.
Wow. Welcome, everybody. It's going to be a grinder today, let me tell you, Skull Fanatics. It's a grinder. Holy buckets. 3 quarters. We played a first half of football. With less than 50 yards running. I can't. How do we even start today without shooting ourselves in the head?
That's a great question. You know, the interesting thing I heard from Coach O'Connell was that the reason that he was starting Dobbs is because he felt that at this point in Dobbs's career is when most coaches give up on him. And so he wasn't going to give up on him. He was going to give him that tutelage that he needed in the bye week, and he was going to get him to that level where he needed to be. Well, that obviously didn't work. So I don't know what the deal is with Dobbs. I don't know if it's too much in his head. He's thinking too much. He just doesn't have enough natural ability. He can't just, throw the ball or what, but man, he was in his head yesterday. So,
well, once again, I mean, it is what it is, right? Once again, we're here with another week of the Vikings. The first week they get Dobbs, they play out of their mind. They win in a miraculous game. Everybody's thinking, wow, we got a shot. It's been 3 more weeks since then, and it's been nothing but a downhill slide. Less points has been nothing but the trend.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting. And, I heard that same thing that you're talking about KOC coming out and being like, well, this is where usually everybody tosses Dobbs out and doesn't give him a chance. Well, KOC, I'm starting to wonder if they're smarter than you.
Or his compassion got a hold of him. Great. Now that there's a reason why everybody else got rid of him. I think TD's been saying it for a while, that there's a reason why he hasn't. So, but
I think TD said it best. I mean, he said it best. He said Dobbs doesn't go down the progressions. He just doesn't look around.
Does TD say anything best?
When things go bad, he's usually got it right. Mr. Pessimist, when things go bad, he's usually got it right. But the truth is,
he's turned an oar. He is rowing with all the Vikings now, and everything is positive out of his mouth.
Yeah,
there is nothing negative anymore.
Well, let me be the negative Nelly then. Oh my God, listen, you called it, man. Dobbs goes out and has the bad game that I knew was going to happen, right? The bad game. And, to Brad's credit, it was a 2-2 game. 2 picks, 2 screw-ups by the receivers. It was a bad game. But you got to come out after the bye and play well. To sit there and go 3+ quarters, no scores, barely making a first down, couldn't accumulate over 50 yards in rushing in the first half against, and this is the funniest part. This is the worst part. Against notably the 29th or 28th ranked defense in the league. That's really bad. I mean,
it's at some point in the first half, the both teams had 7 sacks total. So between the 2 teams, there were 7 sacks. So that tells you Max Crosby is a machine, and that guy is all over the field, has a motor that won't stop. So trying to defend him or block him in a run or a pass or things like that. It's like trying to block Micah Parsons. You need to get him to go one way and you go the other. And then 2 guys block him and steal him off. Now, if you're focusing 2 guys on him, that leaves somebody open to come up and bust up the play. And so that's usually what happens in the Vikings offense. I'm wondering if there's a combination of KOC's play calling and the blocking was not very good yesterday. and Max Crosby just was overwhelming.
But the O-line did fall apart, right? I mean, on
Yeah.
both sides. I mean, the O-line on both sides of the fence was breaking down and falling apart. Guys were dropping off the field left and right yesterday. So there was a lot to be said about that. But there is something about KOC's play calling. He's not playing Dobbs correctly. Game 1, he started Dobbs. Dobbs played his way. They did well. Ever since then, it's been KOC in control of the game. I'm starting to wonder if this is a Dobbs thing or a KOC thing or a combination of both.
They were driving with the ball. They had gotten to the 45. They got to the 35. They were driving, needed to get to the 21, I believe it was, or 22 to get a first down. And what does KOC do? He runs it up the middle, positioning the ball for a field goal. He was not going for the throw. He was not going for the first down. That's so frustrating because what that says to me is he doesn't trust his quarterback.
It tells you he doesn't trust his offensive line. He doesn't trust his offensive unit at all.
Must
and why
not.
You can't. What was that play? Was it third and 7?
Yeah, 3rd and 7.
It was 3rd and 7. Why you couldn't have gone? I mean, hey, I'm all about going to the middle if you want position, but KOC, why didn't you just throw the ball to Hawkinson over the top? I mean, let him run right across the center and throw him a toss. I mean, you still get the ball in the middle, but at least give a shot at the first down. That, I think, is probably, out of the entire game, I think you hit the call of all calls of defining the coach. KOC, you're not the right coach for the Vikings. I'm going to say it first. I don't care. I'm going to call it out for what it is. That was terrible. Look, Belichick's got more faith in his quarterback than you do in your O.
And he cut him, or sat him, I should say.
Right. It's just ridiculous. You blame him for the problem, but yeah, you're the guy who made the crappy call.
My youngest daughter's boyfriend, I have to say that correct for Timmy because he doesn't understand it. I turned to him and I said, what would have LaFleur done on that play? And he looked at me and he chuckled and he said he would have gone for it. And I said, that's exactly my problem with KOC. He's playing to kick the field goal and then defend. He's relying on his defense way too much. And you know what? Next year, we may not have B-Flow. Now, the rumor is that he's going to stay for another year, get his lawsuit all figured out, and then entertain offers. But even if he does that, 2 years down the road, what are you going to do for a defense? You can't rely on your defense, right? I mean, right. B-Flow has turned those people in that unit that was 31st or 28th into a 13th rated defense.
Well, and you keep talking about looking down the future a little bit. I mean, we all know that the Lions just need to pick up a little bit of defense. They're going to be super, super dominant if they do. We know that the Packers are an extremely young team with a ton of talent, and they're coming together like glue. Where are the Vikings sitting at? I mean, in 2-3 years, they don't pick this stuff up and fix this now. They're going to be cellar dwellers fighting it out for the Bears for last place.
Exactly.
It's not cool. I'm really disappointed after that. Like I said, that play call you're talking about, that's the definer. That's the whole season right there. That's all you've been doing is laying on your defense all game long. Well, dude, your defense can only handle so much. And fortunately, you were against the lowly Raiders yesterday. I mean, because had you gone back against Detroit or Chicago with the way you played yesterday, you would have been destroyed.
Destroyed.
Destroyed. Is really I look at the less than 50 yards rushing in the first half. Dobbs, I can't figure you out. And I don't know if it's KOC holding you on a leash or not. I don't know. I really can't figure it out. I don't know if it's just the O-line breakdown. It could have been a lot about Crosby last night, like you pointed out. I mean, that dude was everywhere.
Right.
He was everywhere. So there's just a few things that there's a number of things that the Vikings need to fix. And I'm going to call it first. I think it's your head coach. And again, I'm not a fan. I'm just an analytical guy. But your head coach is not playing to win. He's not.
He is not playing to win. The Vikings are now 7-6. The Las Vegas Raiders are 5-8. The Chicago Bears are 5-8. They had a great game yesterday. I think they gave us the way to beat Detroit, and we have 2 games coming up against Detroit. Cincinnati looked like they were going to be a tough test coming up. So the Vikings have a pretty hard schedule coming up. What did we think about this? For the listeners, we have Justin Jefferson going into the blue tent, and then we have him walking off the field. I hesitantly started Justin Jefferson on my fantasy team. He got 2 receptions, 27 yards, great average, but that's all he got. He was whisked away to the hospital with a chest injury. So that hit that, I think it was Epps from Las Vegas, he really hit him hard. They had to take him to the hospital to check him out. He did fly home.
Yeah, I was saying he was released shortly afterwards.
But is he available next week? I mean, you just came off of injured reserve, and now all of a sudden you're back hurt again. So,
well, it was really sad to see. I mean, Brad, you saw Dobbs come out. He started 2 passes, hits Jefferson, starts to open things up. Yep. Second one, Jefferson gets hit. He goes out. Everything goes downhill.
Did you hear those commentators? Commentators were praising KOC for not putting Jefferson out the first play. Why? What does that do?
I don't.
You don't have to. You don't have to throw to him right away, right?
No, just get him some play time.
Yeah, it wasn't that great, but anyway.
But no, I mean, he was he 2 or 3 targets or 2 for 2 targets?
2 of 3. He was when they lined. Yeah, when he lined up the first time, or not the first time, but when he lined up for his first catch, it had 1 target, 0 catches. I remember seeing. Yep. And because I was thinking to myself,
it's great.
Yeah, this is celebrated. He's coming back. He's going to have a big game just to show that this team needs him. And then some safety hits him harder than he should have been hit to recognize that he was eating Wheaties or something. I don't know. That was a major hit. So, and I always say those are the ones that hurt. When you're stopped and someone hits you, those are the ones that hurt. When you're running and someone tackles you and drives you into the ground, those aren't the ones that really hurt. It's the ones where you're stopped and they get a good pasting on you. Apparently we're out without Timmy this week, I see. So had his
Timmy, you out there? Oh, you're out there. Well, what did you think, Timmy? You haven't chimed in.
Let's not ask Timmy anything.
We won the game. It doesn't matter how we did it, and we are in 6th position in the playoff picture, and we're looking good.
I think I'm going to fall out of my chair right now. Did you say we're looking? I mean, first of all, everything you said was positive. Yeah. So I'm wondering if Christ has returned today. That's the first question of the day.
No.
I'm going to be looking outside to see if the cows are coming home.
The defense is definitely one of the best in the NFL. We shut out an NFL team, which is very hard to do. Doesn't matter who it is. We shut them out, and, we're looking positive moving forward.
Yeah, keep looking, Johnny. It is Tim. Yeah. Yep.
I got to pick my jaw up here because as analytical as I am, I'm going to blow that out of the water. The Vikings look like dog crap. They've got a seriously tough schedule coming up. Their secondary looks like junk. And while they're coming up against the next week against the Bengals, who's throwing the ball all over the place and to everybody on the field except for the opponents, I think the Vikings have some serious problems. And now with that line breaking down, coming up, you're right, Chicago did show you how to beat Detroit. Stop the run game.
Yeah.
Stop it. But here's the thing. Chicago's run defense is superior. The Vikes' run defense isn't. So you better have some playmakers in the next 4 weeks. I think the Vikings road at this point, after last night's performance and the serious coaching and quarterback issue, I think their season is almost over.
You brought up the hardest remaining schedules. The Dallas Cowboys have the hardest schedule remaining. The Baltimore Ravens have the second hardest. The Vikings have the third hardest schedule.
They do. And and I thought they were going to finish strong. But KOC seems to have the leash on Dobbs. Dobbs isn't even, we don't even know if Dobbs will ever take another snap for the Vikings again. I thought it was hilarious when Tim sent that text last night. I immediately understood what he was saying. And it was funny.
Tim? What text did you send, Tim?
Something about the Vikings are going to win this game 3-0, and that we should be prepared for going 11-6 in the season. And quite honestly, I think that we are in perfect position, as KOC and KOC have done, to position us to win we will win the division.
But that wasn't the funny. You wrote in your text, and I will quote it.
That was a typo. It was autocorrect, and I don't know how that got out
This
there.
was let me read this.
Well, hold on. What you have to understand is Tim and I were talking last night, and I said, dude, what is your problem? You never say anything nice about the Vikings. It's 99.9% of the time crap. He's holding toilet paper in his hand.
Right. He's crying.
Yeah, he can't say anything nice about the Vikings. And so he said, well, that's fine. I will speak positively about the Vikings for the rest of the season. And I said to myself, I said to him, I said, I'll bet you lunch you do not. Lunch for the rest of the year, I bet you do say something negative. So go ahead, read his text that made you,
that is
chuckle.
I was on the floor laughing when I read this one. He says, what was your favorite Dobbs moment with the Vikings? It was basically his text reading out, okay, Dobbs is done with the Vikings. Tell us what your favorite historical play was. Like this was a Manning or a Brady or a Favre.
My favorite moment with Dobbs was when he ran around the end, kind of weaved in and out, got knocked out of bounds, looked at the crowd and dropped, like a mic drop. He dropped the football. That was my favorite moment. How about you?
There was a play he made in the first game where it was a third and somewhat, it was a distance third, and the pocket was collapsing on him, and he took off, used his legs, and I thought that should have been a defining moment where he was going to fit really well for the Vikings. And unfortunately, every week since then, we've seen the leash get tighter and tighter on him, and it hasn't been the free flower that Dobbs needs to be. I'm bummed, and I totally disagree with you, Tim. As positive as I was on the Vikings, last night was so pathetic. And you're right, it is hard to hoop a team, right, to get a 0. It's very difficult on any of team in the NFL. But we are talking about a 29th or 30th ranked offense, in the Raiders. We are talking about quarterback problems with the Raiders. There's a lot of QB problems in this league right now. Wait till we go over next week's predictions. There's a lot of toss-ups. So
yeah, it was tough this week.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Vikings, they're in a world of hurt. I don't see the same thing. Maybe we get the miracle turnaround. I don't know.
Our offensive line, I've always told Tim, has been the problem. Usually, like Bradbury, gets blown back so bad that he gets blown back into Kirk Cousins. This is a blown block percentages. The New York Jets offensive line gets blown off the ball 4.4% of the time. The Vikings are 3.1. That surprises me. They're in the middle of the pack. The Miami Dolphins have the best offensive line, obviously, and Buffalo. They only get blown off 2.1% of the time. So I don't know how they come up with these statistics, but it's interesting that the Vikings offensive line has really gotten better. I would have said last year they would have been way at the top here, but they are in the middle of the pack. Does that surprise anyone of you guys?
No.
What
would surprise me is if those numbers remain after last night's game. I mean, the Vikes are only like 2 players away from putting Hawkinson on the end. I mean, seriously, they're running out of O-line players, and there's 4 games still remaining in this season. And if they make the playoffs, a 5th game, I mean, this isn't looking good. This team is breaking down quickly. You've got guys on the line that are third string.
Is going to get us through. We have fantastic depth at the offensive line position in all positions. We're at least 3-4 deep all the way across. So I think we're looking good.
I'm sorry, people. America, forgive me. This is
wow.
America, forgive me. This is comedy session here. I'm sorry to laugh so hard, but I'm in shock and awe at what I'm hearing today, and I know you are too. And now they're the best. Okay.
Which game has been the best so far, looking at the scoreboard here of the week? MB on Figgy, Vikings Raiders was a slugfest. Never seen such an entertaining game. Kind of goes what Tim is saying is that this Vikings team really, they ran into a buzzsaw, but they came out on the other side. They really dominated the game and held that other team and put up a donut for the other team. And so, scoring points, I mean, it was just it was a battle. It was a defensive battle, and we ended up on top. I think it was a great game. This really says the Vikings are Super Bowl bound right here. 3-0 against the Raiders.
So too.
Yeah.
I mean, think what's going to happen when we shut out Philly, San Francisco, and Dallas in the playoffs. I mean, that's where this is heading.
Well, and look at our game next week. The Bengals beat the Indianapolis Colts 34-14. Now,
shocker.
Put a 0 there for the Bengals. What does that do for the Vikings?
Exactly.
They just got to score another 3 points.
Exactly.
I love you guys. You make me giggle.
As Joseph can hit 50% of his field goal attempts, which he did yesterday. I mean, there is no reason why we can't shut out every team the rest of the way.
And 50% is a good percentage for a kicker. I don't know any kicker that would be above that.
Exactly.
You guys are the sarcasm hour today. Let me tell you, this is great stuff. Whoever was going to win that game last night was the team that still had enough players to finish the game.
Yeah, because there were a lot of. Did you see Brian O'Neill's leg when he was going into the blue tent? He had a slash on the back of his leg. So somebody's spike must have gone across his leg. Yeah.
I couldn't believe how many guys went down in that game last night. And not only went down, but literally went to the locker room. They were done. They weren't even on the bench.
Just to Tim and Mai's point, I don't know. I think I should change his name to, because every time he sits back in his chair or sits up in his chair, you can hear it. And I've been telling him for 12 years to oil the thing. But and I said that the Vikings, look at this, they're number 10 in offensive yards per game. So if they only scored 3 points, that tells you that was a really, really tough team yesterday.
It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Raiders are a tough team. I mean, they are. They're Super Bowl contender.
50.7 average. Only the Eagles are only 11 points above us. The Chiefs are only 12 yards per game above us. And look at that. The number one team in the AFC, according to, and it is, they're only 16 yards per game more. So exciting. This Vikings team is exciting.
Yeah, they're just, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was so awake last night. I was jumping up and down everywhere. Yeah.
Do you know what the over-under for yesterday's game was?
I thought it was 39.
40.5. Yes, you are correct.
40.5? Okay.
Yep.
They got
39,
close.
40.5, same thing. Yep, absolutely.
There were, on a serious note, though, there were a lot of really good games yesterday. There were some good upsets out there. We're dogging on the Vikings today. Obviously, it was a tough road for them yesterday. But like you said, they did go through the meat grinder and they came out the winner. That was pretty cool. But they have to show. Well, and you're right. The W matters. And it really matters right now. So they're just going to have to show some improvement. I was looking at next week's game. We had the Bengals and the Vikes. I was checking that one out. I can just tell you right up front, I didn't put the Vikes on my card this week. I didn't see it, and I'm sorry.
Did you put a 0 for the Bengals? Did you put a 0 for their score?
No. I put a 0 with a good number, with a number in front of it. It wasn't a 1, and it wasn't a 2 either. Honestly, it's a bad matchup for the Vikes. It really is. The Vikings secondary has a lot of holes in it. And you're going against a Bengals team that's throwing the ball and building confidence all over the place. So, and the Bengals don't run that much. So that's a part of their game that shouldn't really matter that much. And that's where the Vikes' strength is. So I don't see a positive outcome. I hate to be touchdown this week. I hate to be Tim, but I am the Tim this week.
You mean you hate to be positive?
Yeah, I guess. I'm just, that game really turned me sideways. I thought the Vikes had a real good run, and it's just been downhill. And like I said, when I'm talking about downhill, I'm looking at points. Just look at the point numbers drop. As a matter of fact, I think the Bengals scored more points in the last game yesterday against the Colts, who have a pretty darn good D. They scored more points in that game than the Vikings did in the last 3 games combined.
They scored more points in the last 3 minutes than the Vikings did in the whole game yesterday. The Vikings are tied for 7th for the top 10 best NFL team winning percentage since 2021. I don't know why they went back 2 years, but the Vikings consistently are competitive. They're consistently good. They're consistently at the top of the tier.
When you had Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
Kirk Cousins. Yeah,
Amen.
And Justin Jefferson. I mean,
But
you could even see last night Jefferson was going to make a difference. Had he been healthy, he would have made a difference.
Let's blow it all up. Let's just get rid of Kirk Cousins and let's take a chance on a half-ass quarterback coming out of college and see if it works. If it doesn't work, no big deal. No big deal. We'll just get more of what we got now, you know.
I think Kirk's got at least 4 or 5 more years out of him, or in him. So, what's Rodgers, like 46 right now, and Brady played till he's 51? I don't see why Kirk can't do the same. I think that, he will become our quarterback of the 20s. He's our 20s quarterback. He will play with us until the year 2030. And that's reassuring to know that we have our franchise quarterback.
I'm not down with any quarterback on any team being a franchise quarterback that can't get you to the game.
Boy, you are not down with a lot of quarterbacks then, aren't you?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I don't like hearing conversations of putting Kirk Cousins in a category with Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, any of these people, because he doesn't belong in their category.
Sure he does.
Oh, well,
no.
This episode's over. We're done now with the Skull Fanatics. We will never be back again. We can't have conversations like that and be a Vikings fan.
Well, I'm not a Vikings fan. You two are. That's very clear on this show. I'm the analytical guy.
It's just me.
How you don't see Kirk Cousins being a fantastic and probably, top 3 this year. He will end the season in the top 3 of all quarterbacks for the year, and he won't play.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing that Kirk Cousins was on pace to have the best performance of his life.
He's still, even with what he's played, he will still be in the top 3 for the year. It's amazing how Kirk Cousins plays quarterback.
I'm going forward here, and I simply don't put anybody in greatness category until they prove it. I know everybody likes to put some of these young quarterbacks up in there. I'm not. Patrick Mahomes is a champ. Might not be my favorite, but he's the champ.
Did you see the champ yesterday and his team?
And that's why I bet against him. I did have that game, just so you know. Just so we're on the same page here, I had the most wins yesterday in our picks so far.
You did. Let's recap all.
All right, let's recap. So we had the first game, which we all lost. We all picked the Steelers. That's amazing. That game was a bit of a shocker. You got that one up there, Brad? You got those stats, those scores, those games?
I can put that back up for you. Yes, absolutely.
Well, that game was a bit of a shocker, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, really?
A 2-10 team that hasn't done anything, doesn't have a quarterback to lead you,
right?
Beat a team that still is in the hunt for the playoffs for the AFC.
Who also has a pretty darn good D too. So I'm a little shocked there. But anyways, I think that bet right there pretty much made Vegas a ton of money. So that one I think was a big winner. The next game we all had, we all won. We all took the Saints. We all took the Saints game, and that was kind of a no-brainer. The game started off a little slow, but then it got going, and it was history from there. The third game we all got wrong, which was Houston. That was, I think you called it out, said they were playing in the rain, weren't you, Brad? Didn't you say something about them playing in the rain?
No, the Baltimore, their weather was predicting rain, but as usual, weathermen are never correct. It did not rain in Baltimore.
Well, it did rain in that Houston game, and it rained quite a bit, go ahead.
CJ Stroud got hurt.
I mean, he got popped out of the game. And let's talk about that for a minute, because you guys are big on CJ Stroud. Kid's fun to watch. What happens now? What happens to Houston?
I don't even know who the backup is for Stroud. Do you?
Me? No.
No.
They were counting on this kid all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
But what happens to Houston going
is
forward?
Is Davis Mills? It might be Davis Mills. Davis Mills is the backup.
So are we looking at a CJ Stroud as special, or are we looking at a good system here?
CJ Stroud is special. If you watch some of the plays that he makes, some of the throws he makes, it's how he makes that throw, contorting his body like that. That's unbelievable.
Darn right. What about you, TD? System or is it a system thing and Houston continues to play well, or does Houston just absolutely turn the corner and start losing every game from here on out?
No, they're not going to lose every game. It's system. They have an adequate coach. He's not as good as KOC, but he's an adequate coach.
So you're saying CJ's pretty good, but it's a system and they're going to be fine.
Right.
I'm glad we got this on record.
Let's put it this way: if Stroud was on the Vikings, we would be rivaling the Panthers for the worst record in the league. So, nobody's going to compete with our coaching or our quarterback. So, Stroud just happens to be in the right system.
I'm not sure how long this crap goes on, but.
Oh my God! You're the one who bet him. You're the one who bet him.
Yeah, well,
let's be real. If CJ Stroud was healthy and in a Vikings uniform, you might be the number one team in the league.
Let me tell you what. No. If you've talked to TD for 30 years, you'd be in the same boat I am. 99.9% of the time, the Vikings are the worst team alive. They haven't won us a Super Bowl I'm sorry, I shouldn't say TD said that. Yep, they just they suck. They can't do anything right. Let's get rid of Kirk Cousins. He's a Kirk Cousin actual hater. Thinks he brings down the team. All that stuff. So to hear the complete opposite here, it won't last long. He's gonna have to give in because I can feel
here he comes.
I can feel the inner conflict in him that he needs to say something negative because he just can't be honest with himself if he's not being honest about the Vikings.
There is no inner conflict. I will be singing the praises from the highest mountaintop of everything Vikings. No matter what happens, we are the team.
Well, just to recap our picks, Don got 8 right, Pops got 7 right, I got 6 right, and Tim only got 3 right. So I think DW is out to a good lead, and we'll have to see what happens next week. See how we match up again. This week was a really bad week. It wasn't normal. So.
Well, we had some good ones. I mean, I got the Buffalo game. That was a good one. You guys thought KC was going to win that. That was a good, tight game. KC had a chance. A lot of drama at the end of that game. That was a nice upset. Tim, you called the Bengals over the Indy game. I mean, Brad and I both got that one wrong. As a matter of fact, that game cost me half my parlay tickets. Just so we're on the same page. And the other half of my parlay tickets, Houston cost me. Now, I did have one ticket out there that I didn't take either of those stupid teams on that finally won. And that was good. But I will tell you, after winning the Bears, I did take one ticket where I bet the Bengals. Just for Tim, I did it. I took the Bengals, the Bears, the Browns, and the Broncos. And believe it or not, just like last week, guess who my last team that had to win was? The Vikings. So if you can imagine what I looked like, waiting again for the Vikings to cost me another parlay ticket 2 weeks in a row. Yeah. So I was happy they pulled out the 3-0 victory. So
I'm sorry. There was some good ones. The Minnesota Las Vegas. What did each one of us? What were the picks on that one?
That one, you and I both took the Vikes, of course, and Tim took the Raiderettes.
What? Mr. Positivity? What?
I hit the wrong. I sneezed and I hit the wrong button with my mouse. That was supposed to be a Viking pick, and I'm not really sure how that happened. I mean, to think that I actually won against the Vikings. I
love this guy.
I apologize, and for the rest of the year, and you can write it down in your little notebooks. I pick the Vikings every week from here on out. So
no, you didn't. No, you didn't. And to be totally honest with you,
games of the year, right now I am telling you I'm picking the Vikings.
to be totally honest with you, from when we picked our original picks and our records, so far you are the guy on track to hit your record for the Vikings for the season. Right now, I need a miracle, and Brad needs a win or two. But you're on pace to getting the right number. So all this positivity is fun, but reality is set in.
Well, let's get back to reality here. What do you guys think of this play? Kansas City, Kadarius Toney, offsides, negates the play that they had. What did you guys?
He was offside. He was offside.
Well, but I mean, it's
no but.
the refs cannot be the ones to make and control the outcome of the game. This is how Mahomes reacted. Look at him go. He's trying to run over people, trying to get to the referees. He's if you listen to him after the game, see how that is? He said you shouldn't have called. There's so much leniency in this game. Like when it hits 0, if the ball's being snapped right at that time, they don't call delay of game. Most of them don't. But Mahomes got I'm sorry, I'll finish my thought. What he was saying is that he was just a little bit offside. So you shouldn't have called that because the game was on the line and they would have won if they wouldn't have called that. Were the refs right or were the refs wrong? Johnny?
Refs are 100% right on this. I'm sorry. Patrick, let me ask you a question. What if he would have got off the line, the call would have never been called, and your guy actually had a half a step on the defender and caught the ball for the first down? What happens then? Is that fair to the other team that you got a slight edge cheating? I think it says a lot about your character, Patrick. I think what you should be upset about is the fact that your receiver was lined up in the neutral zone. I think that is the problem. Your man's lined up on the line. It was totally, he actually had his toe over. So say what you will, Patrick, but I think where your point of frustration could come out at your guy to make such a stupid mistake in such an important moment of the game.
What do you? Oh, well, that's riveting. Great commentary. Sweet.
He said ditto.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Way to go deep on that. I don't know. I mean,
I think if the Buffalo Bills defender would have been across the line, his helmet would have been across the line, his hand would have been across the line, I think Patrick Mahomes would have been freaking out just like you saw in the video. They can't do that. They're getting a step on me that throws off my timing. But when it's on the other side and it's KC and they're trying to get a slight advantage, which Kadarius Toney, all you got to do is look to the left and say thumbs up or thumbs up. And if he says no, then you just slide back a little bit and the play goes on. How hard is that?
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I thought it actually, the worst thing of it all was showing Patrick Mahomes' immaturity. Yeah. I thought, for a guy who's a champ, you're better off walking off the field and being upset, showing your emotion and being upset, but literally physically trying to go after the refs. I mean, what are you, 10? Come on, Patrick, grow up. You're a champion. Yeah. People, there's kids out there that admire you. What's to admire? I don't think, I've said it before since the kid was a rookie. I don't like Patrick Mahomes. I think he's an arrogant punk. I personally don't think he should be an iconic leader for people. Grow up. Maybe this moment in his life will teach him to grow up and, take that off the field and realize, what, sometimes you lose a close one. And I realize they've been on a rough streak right now, but, you want to point some aggression somewhere, go talk to your team. Travis Kelce, where you been, buddy? I mean, come on, you're not doing everything that you used to do. I mean, this was the Mahomes, this was the Mahomes Kelce worldwide tour, just like it used to be the Brady Gronkowski worldwide tour. And that's because you got one guy with his attention focused somewhere else. And I've said that for multiple weeks. Patrick's out there trying to do everything he can. He did bring Rashee Rice, got him into the game last night. That was a good move. Started to move a little bit more away from Kelce. I thought that would be positive. But it's just unfortunate to see his immaturity come out so strongly. And what I'm specifically talking about is I'm talking about you're shoving your teammates out of the way to try to get to the referee. After the game is long over, stupid move.
Top receiver for KC yesterday?
I would say Rice.
Rice had 10 targets, 7 catches for 72 yards, 10.3 average and 1 touchdown. Travis Kelce had 10 targets, 6 receptions, 83 yards, and 13.8 average. So
Yeah.
Kelce was still the top receiver yesterday. Didn't have a touchdown.
But he hasn't been that touchdown target for him, and that's been what I've been getting at. When it gets down into the red zone, he's not getting the ball.
Most of his career, he's been a 100-yard tight end and a touchdown or two. Yep, absolutely. He's not doing what he has been. But then again, is it the quarterback not getting him the ball, or what is it? I don't
think his head's in the game. I think he's got too many personal things going on, buying homes, traveling around the world. A lot of people they want to say whatever, that's the guy's business, but this guy has a contract to play football. It's his job. When you're flying overseas and out of the country to visit your girlfriend, and then you're flying back that week to go to a game, that puts fatigue on the body, and it also puts wear down, and it also puts fat on the body versus muscle. Kelce, you should start thinking about some of that stuff and focus on what your job is.
The Vikings, if Tim is correct and they don't win out, they suck the rest of the season, lose to the Packers, and split with the Lions. And all right, there he is. And then you got to let me finish my question, Tim. So if they do all of that, as he said in the past, and they lose to Cincinnati, that should get them closer to getting one of these 6 quarterbacks. Do you guys agree with the 33rd team and their potential landing spots for the top 6 quarterbacks? Does it look like the Bears have the number 1 pick, but according to these guys, they're going to take Drake May over Caleb Williams?
I need to hear what you say first, because the Vikings will be getting the best quarterback out of that 6. Whoever we take will be the rookie of the year next year.
So really, this has turned into a Don and Brad show. So, Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. If the Giants get him, that's going to be a big kudos for the Giants. They have the Patriots obviously finishing worse than the Carolina Panthers. This must be older because they were 2-10, and they probably figured the Panthers would win a couple more games. But they have the Patriots getting Caleb Williams, or maybe they go up and get Caleb Williams. They got Drake May going to the Bears. That would be he's supposed to be a great passer. He's not a generational quarterback necessarily. They haven't talked about him like that, but they have Caleb Williams. Michael Penix going to the Falcons. The Falcons going after another quarterback. I think this would be the 4th quarterback they've taken in the last 5 or 6 years. Rookie quarterback.
They've been on a roll. They're trying everything they can get.
J.J. McCarthy going to the Raiders. That seems odd since Aiden O'Connell is playing for the Raiders, and
but not playing well.
Well, he's give him a couple of years. He's got to get acclimated to the NFL, and they've got Bo Nix going to the Vikings. Interesting.
I don't think the Vikings should be looking in this direction.
Because
because you got Cousins, right?
But Cousins is injured. He just wrecked his Achilles. He's an older quarterback. What does that do for him in his longevity?
Well, I think he was also having a career season, which tells you he's toward. He was having
he was doing well.
He was having the best season of his career. Excuse me.
You were right. Career season.
Yep. But with that being said, he's peaking. I would like to at least see him play another couple of seasons, especially now that he's got this team down.
But you need somebody underneath him to learn and then step in when he's done, right?
But why do I gotta focus on a big pick? If I know if I'm gonna get 4 or 5 more seasons out of this guy, why focus on a big pick? Why not focus on a hole somewhere else that no one else necessarily has to focus on a big pick with?
Well, I mean,
what do we keep saying is a problem?
You got to go with his mentality is that he doesn't care about any other positions than quarterback. He wants to have a generational quarterback that he knows year in and year out is like Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have to worry about that position ever again. That's all he cares about.
I think we have that with
there he is. So Bo Nix is maybe that answer. Maybe J.J. McCarthy is that answer. Who knows? Does Jaden Daniels fall? You don't agree with right?
I just don't agree. If you're going to get 4 or 5 more seasons out of this quarterback that you've invested this money and this time in to build your team around, You can't throw it out the window, go grab and waste your top draft pick when the guy could come into the next best season of his career again.
No,
You got to
no, no,
add
no.
something. You got
You
to
don't-
add something, other element to him. If I want to go in the following season, if I want to go out and get a rookie quarterback, fine. Maybe I can go out and find a rookie quarterback that was a bust from this draft that didn't work out in someone else's system that might fit better to my system, and I can go pick him up. What I'm saying is when we throw all of our eggs into the basket of going to get a rookie quarterback just to develop somebody underneath this current quarterback is a foolish thing to do when you have a solid team. I mean, let's be real. If Cousins was on this team, the Vikings would be in a much better position right now. So if that's the case, you got to anticipate next year to be in the same boat. What do the Vikings need to help them get over that hump, be the leader of the North, and get a shot at a Super Bowl? That's the position you should be filling.
We don't care about a shot at the Super Bowl. We just want a generational quarterback.
I'm the analytical guy.
Throw everything else out. We just want a generational quarterback. And then you can build this team around a generational quarterback.
No, I'm not with that right now.
See, Aaron Rodgers, he had Jordan Love underneath him, right? Now Love has his chance, and look, Love is flourishing. We want to do the same thing. Oh wait, no, I'm going against my own philosophy. We're supposed to want just a generational quarterback. Give up everything and go get a generational quarterback, because that'll change this Vikings team.
I'd go out and look to pick the best cornerback or safety in the game.
Why?
Because I need help in the secondary.
Yeah, but you need a generational quarterback. That's the only thing.
No,
this team
I got
needs.
I got a quarterback that I believe right now could take us to a Super Bowl and potentially win it. But he does not have the rest of the team put together, and a major hole in that team is the secondary.
I thought Cam Bynum played very well yesterday. I thought Josh Metellus played very well. I thought Byron Murphy, he always, week in, week out, takes the top receiver, pretty much shuts them down.
Against a 29th ranked football team offensively. I'm not giving it a lot of stat yet.
Well, but week in and week out. I mean, he does it every week, right? Caleb Evans, he was
Last
not
time I
in.
looked, Atlanta picked him apart.
Nope.
Wasn't it the Bears picked him apart?
Nope. Not Murphy.
Yeah.
They picked the other side apart.
Like I said, fill the
not
holes.
Murphy. Yeah.
Fill it up.
We have a need for a corner.
What was that? Fill the holes.
Oh.
And again, I know Tim's being silly because of your little bet you guys got going on, but I know wholeheartedly he agrees with me. He wants to win a Super Bowl.
He doesn't. No, he doesn't. He doesn't agree with you at all. He wants us to get rid of Kirk Cousins and get a generational quarterback, just like I've been saying.
No, but Kirk Cousins is going to be here for at least 4 or 5 more years, and he will be the quarterback when we win the Super Bowl in the next 2 years. We will win the Super Bowl in the next 2 years.
I'll make that decision based on your draft picks. I just don't believe it.
We showed this year when we
What was
didn't
that noise?
do any improvement to our defense, and now we're in the top 2 or 3 in the NFL for defenses right now. So I think that we have a very good system moving forward, and I think if Cousins wouldn't have been hurt, we'd probably be.
Oh boy!
What?
I'm waiting for it. Let me guess. Undefeated?
Well, no, because Cousins was here when we started 0-3, but that was a misstep by there were a couple of those games Cousins had food poisoning, I understand.
That's
and
true.
That's why he wasn't playing that well, and we lost those games. But once we got the nutritionist fixed at the Vikings camp, I think that he would have went undefeated the rest of the year.
All right, well, it was a great week. It was a great win by the Vikings. Those are games that you have to win, the close ones. So,
well, we can't shut this down. We got to ask a major question, you guys.
All right,
major
let's
question.
End it with a major question.
Next week, I said Bengals. I got 2 questions. What are you guys thinking right now? Which team? That's an easy 1-answer question.
Vikings.
I'm going to go Vikings. It's going to be a close game, but I think Mullins is going to lead the team to he's going to get a whole week of practice, and he's going to get, the defense. I was talking to last night about this, and I was telling him that when you have a superior defense, other teams, the plays that they think they're going to run against you don't necessarily work. And so B-Flow is very good at disguising his defenses. And so that's really his forte. And, something I heard from B-Flow on Vikings.com is he scouts himself. He puts down percentages of the time that he runs cover 3, cover 4, nickel, dime. He scouts himself. And so when he's calling defenses and calling blitzes, he knows that they're expecting a trend. And so he does something different. I think that's brilliant. That's what I've been looking for from the Vikings. I've been looking for the coaches to make changes at halftime to adjust what the other team is doing, and I think that's a very good trait. I think B-Flow's defense is going to keep us in a lot of games. The question is can Mullins and Jefferson connect enough for us to win?
Interesting. Well, you did answer my second question, Brad, which is
sorry.
No, that's fine. I was going to ask, how is it that that's going to happen? So touchdown on you. How is it that that's going to happen? How are the Vikings going to beat this rolling Bengals, 300 plus yards of offense, throwing the ball everywhere, almost scoring at will?
I think that you're going to find our defensive line is going to get probably 7 or 8 sacks again next week. And again, we just shut out the Raiders. We only let Chicago score 12 points. We've only given up 12 points in 2 weeks. So the most the Bengals are going to get next week is 2 field goals. All we need is 1 touchdown, and that'll happen in the first drive of the game. I mean, this game will be over within 5 minutes of the first quarter once we get that opening touchdown.
I love that. I don't know who this guy is, but I sure like that view.
The Bengals have given up 3,476 yards. They are 27th in the NFL, their defense for yards given up.
Yep. How's their offense doing?
Their offense, if we go by passing yards,
pick whatever category.
No, I would one that we will agree on. They're 18th rated offense. They average 3,225. Not average. They've scored 3,225 yards this year. The Vikings have 3,410. Bengals are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15th rated offense. The Vikings offense is 3, 6, 9th for yards, passing yards.
But yet,
it's
something that I always look at, because as a guy who likes to lay down wagers, one thing I also like to look at is when you get this deep into the season, those stats are great, but in my opinion, they're not as great as the last 3 or 4 games. I think looking at the last 3 to 4 or 5 games really gives you a perception of what the team is doing, especially with all the injuries we've seen this season. Quarterbacks dropping like flies. It's kind of like I said, I probably won't be looking at Houston very favorably this week, but the Bengals have been rolling, and I don't know what their last 5 is, but if I remember correctly, it was it's pretty darn good.
You're talking about what they've done in the last 5 games?
5 games.
And that's really the trend that you look at?
It's one of the big trends I like to look at is see how are they doing? Are they on a winning? Are they losing? Where are they at?
2-3 in the last 5 games.
They are, and the Bengals beat Jacksonville and they beat Indy. And Indy's got a pretty good D.
They're 4-3 at home.
They are 4-3 at home. And then when you go the other way, you look at the Vikings and they've been going the other direction. So the question is it a snapback game for the Vikings and they actually figured something out and they get it done? Or is it the Bengals continue to keep strolling through, going for their 4th win in a row, or their, 3rd win in a row?
Yeah, the Vikings were 3-2 in their last 5 games, and they were 5-2 for away records going into Las Vegas. So we'll see how that changes next week. But I in all honesty, I'm not. I'm hoping that the Vikings pull it all together. Do I really think they're going to? God, I hope so. Mullins gives us a better chance. It looks like Dobbs didn't make the adjustment that he needed to make, and we need something else in there.
Yeah, did you see that play with Mullins? He was looking pretty good, and then he threw that ball, and it almost got picked. The one he threw behind the receiver. That was
lucky. Yep.
He got very lucky that ball didn't get picked, and he knew it. He knew it. And they showed his facial expression, and that right there makes me wonder, does he have what it takes to be an NFL starter? That play right there. When I saw that facial expression, I cringed inside like, oh, this guy looks like a kid out on the field who's just, and I like the part of him having a good time and, oh, I almost made a mistake, almost in a childish like manner. You can't have those. You just can't. Because a good defense should have taken that ball home.
Well, and obviously he didn't read the defense correctly. He didn't read it correctly. He didn't account for the linebackers dropping back. And so what is he misreading? Him and KOC need to figure that out.
And I didn't get to see enough progressions to see if he was checking down or not. But that's one thing the Bengals are doing very well right now. I don't know what we got going on the computer, but that is one thing the Bengals are doing very well right now is checking down. The quarterback's checking down very well. So
isn't that its phone?
Probably. It's either the phone or the chair. Got all kinds of noise.
How many podcasts do you hear their phone going off during?
Oh my God. All of them.
All of them. I saw,
They're movers and shakers. They're doing whatever they can.
Well, I can't thank you enough for the time, guys. It's, it was a win. We're playing the horn for it. Thanks for joining me today. On behalf of Johnny and Timmy, that's another podcast. We'll talk to you later.
Adios. Go Vikings.
He lives and breathes the Minnesota Vikings.
I don't even know what to say. We're still having fun. He caught it, and he paid for it.
Houston, we have a problem.
Playoffs? And he's lose.
Playoffs? I mean, whatever you want to say.
You lucky suckers.
Luck has nothing to do with it.
The Vikings are going to win. Touchdown.